Yeah, well, I mean, listen, after that fight, I find it impossible that you can't get the recognition that you deserve. Even though TJ obviously had the shoulder
Yeah.
injury, in that fight, you ran through it. Simple as that. I mean, you took him down with authority. Some of the shots that you landed, they were nasty. Me and Anthony Smith were saying you were nasty in that fight. They were heavy, heavy shots. Talk me through it from your perspective. Obviously, the shoulder thing kind of gives him an edge, gives him a way out. In fact, did you see the comments that he just came out and said in the last day or two that he says that you're the easiest fight for him in the whole of the division, something like that? I might be getting that quote wrong, but you saw it anyway. But what do you make of all of this?
I just think he's a sore loser, man, and he's arrogant, delusional, and I guess that's what makes him a former champion, because he has to have this crazy mindset and belief in himself to actually do what he's accomplished. And I think he probably even thought the same thing about Renan Barão and just thought like he was just going to run through him. And Dominic Cruz shut him down, and even though that was a close fight. So what I'm getting at is, like, TJ's good. I can acknowledge that. But I just felt like no matter how healthy he was, that day he was not beating me. That's how I personally feel. You watch the first exchanges in the first round, the first 30 seconds. He had nothing for me. I saw all of his punches. I've outstruck him and easily timed that kick and just threw him down on the ground like a little brother. And I felt like I just big brothered him. So I'm just like, even if he said he got back up with one arm, I haven't even gotten a chance to sit back and watch the tape yet. But I'm just going based on my memory. When he got up, I believe it was off of a scramble when I was going for an advancement in position. So they said, oh, you took 2 rounds to beat a guy with one arm. I'm like, one, I didn't know he had one arm. Otherwise, that fight would have been over and I would just did what I need to do to get him out of there. And 2, I'm being smart and being calculated. This is what's got me to the dance. So if you're upset that I took longer to finish the fight because he had one arm, that it makes no sense. It's almost just a way to try to discredit what I did and give TJ credit.
Have people actually said that to you?
Yeah, he did nothing.
That's crazy, man. I mean, listen, he went in there, with a suspect shoulder. I'm sure at the start of the fight it was fine, but it did pop out. We saw that. But so what? Yeah. That's not your fault. You've got to beat the guy in front of you. And you did that soundly. People, man, they're TJ fans obviously coming out of the woodwork.
But my only thing is I would like to ask TJ to his face, and not even like a disrespectful way, but I feel like the way I would say it would break him down mentally. Like, TJ, you went through an entire training camp. You said you got hurt in April. So from between April and the fight, you did no PT. Okay. So between April and the fight, how did you go and how did your sparring sessions look? Okay. Were you winning these sparring sessions? Okay. And if you were winning these sparring sessions, did you really think those guys were equal enough for you to compare it to a match with myself and think that, okay, I can get through these guys. So that means I can beat Aljamain Sterling with the limitations that I have because I have knocked out, as quote unquote, as he says, knocked out Garber with 2 bad shoulders. So I'm just like you can't have it both ways. You can't have, I feel like I could have dominated and won the fight because it's an easy matchup. Then, my shoulder hurts. I'm sorry, guys. I let you down. Like, which one is it? Because if you had won, you would have rubbed it in my face and saying, I beat you with one arm too on top of that. That knew I could have hung out he did that interview. I could hang out on the beach and prepare for Aljamain. He's not a threat. And this was way back when, right? So he really had no regard for my skill set. And I'm glad I got to punch him in the face. And he could say whatever he wants to make himself sleep better at night. But that fight was not going to get any better. And he's lucky I didn't realize his shoulder came out earlier because I would have just mounted, probably even just stood up and just beat the dog shit out of him right then and right there. I actually gave him credit. Like, okay, let's take the time because of what we've seen on tape. He does a good job of shrimping and getting back up. And let's just be smart about how we finish the fight. Yeah. And whatever, man. I got the finish. He's a legend. Took him out. On to the next one. Line him up. I'm knocking him down.
Yeah, well, as you say, that's all in the rearview mirror. Haters are going to hate regardless of what happens. Just ignore it, Aljamain. Just ignore it. Keep winning fights. Keep doing what you're doing. And all of a sudden, they'll be your number one fans anyway. So you just said, obviously, TJ's in the rearview mirror now. So you're taking some time off, correct?
See, these camps, and this is without me disclosing all the injuries.
Listen, mate. I know how the 5-round championship camps are. It takes a lot out of you.
And these guys who do 3-round fights, and they think that even holds a candle to 2 5-round fights, you still got a whole other fight that you need to have and then some in order to keep up with the amount of rounds that we train for. So it's impactful on the body. but I do have some other stuff that I have like lingering around that I need to make sure takes care of itself before I just jump back in there, because I was pretty much unscathed coming out of this fight. I actually tweaked my rib, beating the crap out of this guy, which is absolutely hilarious. And I think that's a testament to
how
my
dare
age.
he? You tweaked a rib, beating him up. Oh, Jesus Christ, come on. DJ, what are you doing?
I tweaked the rib punching this guy. I'm like, how unlucky am I that
All right. So Brian, our producer, is doing a little bit of shit stirring here behind the scenes. He just shot me a little message here. He said TJ picks Aljo versus Cejudo on the MMA hour yesterday. I have the video. So Brian, go ahead, play the tape, and let's get Aljamain's response.
What a
and as I say,
guy.
this is funny. Not funny, but like Brian's a cunt. Oh, I shouldn't say that.
Yeah, I think that's a great matchup for Henry Cejudo.
Wow, why easily?
Oh, he's just got the wrestling pedigree, and his striking is, I think, a lot better than Aljamain's. Aljamain doesn't have much structure. I guess his funkiness works for him, right? Because he doesn't throw things the way you're supposed to, and he doesn't set up his kicks. And just 90% of his strikes are kicks. Like if I would have been healthy with that and be able to counter his kicks and do it the right way, it could have been a different story. But I just think that Cejudo's more well-rounded. Has more threats, and I don't think he can out-wrestle him, so that's a problem.
You think Henry beats him?
Response, Aljo, what do you say?
I think his comment about the kicks is semi-accurate, but at the same time, you had 30 seconds to counter my kicks, and I think I might have thrown 4 or 5 in that span. So why didn't you counter it? Your shoulders were still intact. I mean, right? So why you had an opportunity to do that. You did no such thing. You got dumped on your ass like a little good boy, and you got sunned by daddy. And on top of that, Cejudo, everyone keeps talking about this wrestling. It's not a wrestling match. We're not going in the circle with out-of-bound push-out points. You got a guy who's fighting you the same exact size, who's got the limb advantage, who's got the height advantage, who can wrestle just as good as you. Just because you wrestled on the Olympic level does not mean I cannot compete. I wrestle with these guys who's wrestled D1, All-Americans, and I compete with them. And I would like to tell you, I do pretty damn well in terms of holding my own and doing better than what people think that I'm going to do.
Yeah.
So they think Cejudo's just going to come do an inside leg trip and take me down. And, oh my God, I told you his wrestling was so dangerous. An inside leg trip doesn't hurt. You get sat down, you get tripped, and then you're on your back, and then you're in my guard.
But Aljo, you know why he's saying this, right? Why is TJ saying that?
Because he's so salty.
No, well, yeah. I mean, probably a bit of that. He's probably pissed off. But because Cejudo beat him as well. Do you know what I mean? You know what it's like. Anyone gets a win over you, you always want them to win because it makes you look good. So, he's probably salty about the fight. So let's talk about what's next. Because there was talk that Sean O'Malley, if he was to beat Peter, he was probably going to get the next title shot. What is going on with all of that? Have you heard anything?
No, I'm in a little bit of a situation with management right now. So, I'm just trying to figure out what's the best move for me. And I don't know. I know they said what they said, but Dana always quickly changes his tune when things don't seem to go the way that he thought it was. And of course, you got to pivot. So I understand that. I'm here for the biggest matchup that I can get financially. I don't get pay-per-view points after losing the belt. I only get it when I have the belt. So why am I going to take a fight that's not going to do that for me? So I'm going to take the biggest fight if that's the fight that the UFC think is the biggest fight, whether that's Cejudo, whether that's Cheeto Nuts, or that's Sugar Tits. Like, it really doesn't matter. I don't shy away from competition. I fought the toughest guys. I fought all the guys within the top 5 to get a chance to even fight for the world title. So look at my resume speaks for itself. People can say whatever they want. Like, how can you tell me I'm ducking somebody who was ducking everybody for 2.5 years on the sidelines? Now he wants to fight after I just did 2 grueling training camps. And you want me to jump back in there for February? Bro, get a grip on reality. The world does not revolve around Cejudo anymore. You have to now take a back seat and wait for the champ of the weight class and bow down and wait for your turn. And hopefully you get selected. That's what I got to say to those guys. These guys, people can say cringe or whatever they want to say. I keep it real. I keep it a buck every single time I do these interviews and I talk to people. I don't care who I fight. It doesn't matter. It does matter when. When does matter, because I got things I got to do outside of fighting. Like, life doesn't just revolve around fighting. And you could speak to that.
Yep.
You got to have things set in place. I'm trying to do all these other ventures. I'm trying to get my rum company. I'm trying to build and map out my YouTube channel and do things the right way. I'm trying to work on the merchandise side of things. And I'm trying to work on exposure with branding so that I can be set in a place where I'm done fighting. Everything is good. And at the same time, like I said, the training camps. So in the time where I'm doing PT and rehabbing, I'm going to be working on these other things. And then when I get the itch, which is probably going to be sooner than June, I just threw out June because it just sounded like I could still fight twice. I could fight June, I could fight December or November, but we'll see. I'll probably fight sooner than that. So people get all butthurt. I'm like, man, relax. Like champions usually fight one time a year. Some of them are lucky that they can fight 2 times a year. And some of them are abnormal, like a Volkanovski and an Izzy. But I don't know. Like I said, my training camps are different from everybody else. I can't speak for everybody else and how they feel. I can only represent Aljamain Sterling and do what's best for me.
Yeah. Hey, listen, you're doing the right thing as well, because you do have to use, you're in the spotlight right now. You're the champ. And the reality is, I mean, you know this, you're not going to be the champ forever. At some point that goes away. So you got to make the most of it and use this time now to open as many doors, to get as many opportunities, try to set yourself up for post-life retirement. Of course, when you're the champion, you find that is your life, that is your identity. But you do have to think about your post-athletic career as well. But Sean O'Malley, would that be, even if you did say June, I mean, that's not too bad because you have Christmas off, you enjoy yourself, you're the champ, you've had a couple of big fights this year. And then you pretty much get into training camp. June's around before you know it. So would you want O'Malley? Because I think O'Malley, no disrespect to Cejudo, is the biggest name that you could fight right now.
I agree. I think that's what fans want to see. I think the fans would be happy with any one of those 3 guys that I fight, which is a win for everybody for the most part. But I think the one that would draw the most would be Suga Sean O'Malley. And I got nothing but respect for all these guys. But once you sign that dotted line, man, all bets are off. Everything is fair game except for family. I'm going to talk shit. Yeah. I'm going to say what I say. And at the end, if you want to shake hands, we can shake hands. And at the end of the day, we're all chasing the same dream here, man. I got no actual animosity towards any of these guys. So it's just, I want to get paid. I want the biggest fights. And if you understood how our careers really work, people would be on our side. Like, nah, get what's best for you, because you're not guaranteed the next fight. And you're not guaranteed a big payday. So take it and get it while you can. And that's what I'm doing.
All right. Well, we can't wait for it.